our really nifty farmers market that's outside, and make sure that after this press conference is over, you go out and you pick up lunch, you pick up some fresh eggs, you pick up some veggies to go home. And we're working hard to be a green city and be healthy. Now that I have everybody's attention, I appreciate you all being here today to allow us to update you on some important steps we've been taking here in Houston and across the state of Texas, and what's going on nationally on the issue of untested sexual assault kits. My understanding is that the FBI has estimated that there are some 400,000 untested sexual assault kits across the United States. Some cities have decided to deal with their untested sexual assault kits by destroying them. That's concerning on a number of different levels. The city of Houston has had a significant number of untested sexual assault kits, a number that has accreted over decades here in Houston. And we took a different approach. It wasn't an easy approach, wasn't an inexpensive approach, but we believe we've taken the right steps. And we are standing here to encourage other cities to do what they can to emulate what we did to move forward. But one of the critical pieces of our decision was we had help thanks to federal legislation and federal funding in addressing the problem. Houston is solving its backlog of sexual assault kits and will finally be able to say the backlog is gone. There are no existing backdated sexual assault kits in the control of the Houston Police Department. We shipped them to 2 outside labs earlier this year, and we have every expectation that by the end of this calendar year, and certainly in the first quarter of next year, those tests will be completed. The problem was years in the making, and we began working on a solution as soon as I came in as mayor. Frankly, it was a struggle during extremely difficult economic times to try to identify the funding necessary to make a dent in this problem. My hope is that other cities around the state can learn from our approach, and Senator Davis's bill will certainly make it easier for them. To date, the Houston Police Department has outsourced more than 9,000 cases to 2 outside laboratories, Bodie Technology Group and Sorensen Forensics LLC for DNA testing. Of these, 6,663 were stored sexual assault kits, and the remaining cases were a combination of newly submitted sexual assault kits and other DNA evidence from crimes of violence and property crimes that we decided to roll in since, frankly, we got a really good deal on the package. The total contracted cost is $4.4 million. Of this total, $2.2 million is funded by federal grants, and the balance is funded by the city's general fund. Once tested by the outside labs, these cases are going to be returned to HPD for follow-up investigations as appropriate. To date, testing has been completed and reports have been received on nearly 2,800 cases. And of these, about 1,400 are currently undergoing technical review by HPD criminalists, and the remaining 1,300 have completed the review process. This yielded 464 cases that had usable DNA evidence for CODIS entry, and 921 cases that had no probative value. In essence, 921 cases that they're not useful to us in any way. In the event CODIS identifies suspects, HPD will provide information to the extent active investigations are not compromised. CODIS hits may also result in a case-to-case match and not a named suspect. A report detailing CODIS hits with respect to this project will be provided in future updates to City Council, and we had scheduled an update on this process, I believe, a week ago, Mayor Pro Tem Gonzalez, but it will be coming up soon. There has been one charge and one arrest as a direct result of the testing of a sexual assault kit from the current DNA backlog reduction initiative. Please note that other police work and forensic evidence very often lead to arrests separate and apart from the DNA testing program. I want to make a couple of points in this. This wasn't a problem that began because people didn't care about the evidence, didn't care about the burden on sexual assault victims. This was a problem that began in the very early days of DNA testing, when it was expensive, it was cumbersome, and often departments felt, well, if I have enough other evidence, what's the point of going through the expense of testing the kit? We collected the evidence, we're going to go after the person, we'll set it aside. Or, in the early days of DNA evidence, it was a case where everybody knew the parties involved. It was a matter of consent. And that was something that needed to be determined in a court of law. And again, the decision was made not to test the evidence. Well, DNA testing has evolved over the years. Our ability to use DNA evidence has evolved over the years. The price of testing has gone down, the ease of testing has gone down, and we have recognized what a useful tool this is to find serial predators. Even if there's plenty of evidence to convict somebody in a particular rape case, and the feeling might be, well, you know, what's the sense of going and testing that evidence? Now we know that this person may have been involved as an unnamed suspect in other cases. And that's why it's important that we test this evidence in such a way that it can be uploaded into CODIS and used for other cases. The evidence was maintained by the Houston Police Department over the years, and again, this was a decision that not all police departments made, and we can be grateful that the Houston Police Department did the right thing in that sense. And every Houstonian should be proud of the fact that the city of Houston stepped up and has done the right thing, finally. With all of these untested sexual assault kits, the 6,663. And we are taking advantage of the opportunity to take a large step forward in our DNA testing protocols as a whole. Because we understand we have an obligation to those women who put themselves through the test. And we have an obligation to make sure that if there are predators out there, that we take them off the streets. This decision was not an easy decision because, as I said, $4.4 million to test these decades-old cases. It was the right decision, it was the appropriate decision. I'm grateful that the federal government has recognized the need to assist cities in moving forward in this and provided half of the funding for our testing protocols. And I'm grateful that Senator Davis is willing to take the experience of the city of Houston, the efforts and ongoing discussions that are happening across the state, and move us forward in dealing with this problem across the state of Texas. Now it's my honor to introduce Houston City Council Member Ellen Cohen.